She's a business mogul, #1 author, and wellness expert.
How can I help?
And now Chantel Ray Finch and her amazing guests are here to guide you on your journey to health, wealth, and godly wisdom.
Time to level up.
Welcome to the Health, Wealth, and Godly Wisdom Podcast.
Hey guys, today we got interviewed by Vince Perri. Enjoy the show.
Well, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Vince Perri official podcast here. And we are in a new location here. We are on site at the home of Rhyan and Chantel Finch, and I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me, by the way, to do this.
Absolutely.
Very excited to have you guys on the show. Rhyan in particular is somebody that I've known for a little while now, and I really look up to Rhyan because he's quite the successful entrepreneur, and he's been very, very successful in starting businesses, running businesses, scaling businesses, and it's really quite impressive what he's been able to do with his company. And Rhyan is the owner of First Class Real Estate and First Class Franchising. But then we have his lovely wife here.
The real show.
Who is Rhyan times 2. Maybe
Times 10.
She's the 10x version of Rhyan, which I didn't even, honestly, Chantel, no offense, but I didn't know who you were until I met Rhyan. And then I started following you on social media. And well, together they only own 16 businesses. Is that about right?
That's right.
And a couple of things that Chantel is a visionary behind Canzel and Finch Freedom. And she's also the author of a book. Probably one of my favorite titles I've ever heard of a book. The title of her book is called Delegate Everything But Sex.
It's actually, I've written 6 books now.
Wow.
That's one of them. But that one is the title that gets everyone. They like it.
She's a marketing genius.
Well, I think what I'm really excited about this show before I really ask the first question is these are 2 entrepreneurs. You guys are 2 entrepreneurs. You guys have scaled business, so you understand the ups and downs, the good times, the bad times of what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. And that's what this show is really all about. This show is really all about me sitting down with business owners and entrepreneurs and seeing where their faults are and where their successes are and their stories and everything like that. So I think this should be a pretty exciting one.
Yeah, we're excited.
And Rhyan, I must say, you did a heck of a job with the studio. It looks beautiful.
Oh, yeah, it was her vision, and she just put me to work.
That's pretty much how it goes.
I delegated it.
That's funny. That's funny. All right. So my first question is, Chantel, do you think that entrepreneurship is for everybody?
Well, everyone likes to tell, like if you look at YouTube, it's like, oh, this is for everybody. But unfortunately, no, the answer is entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And the statistics are that 5 to 8% of the people actually can be entrepreneurs and are entrepreneurs, but only 1% of those people actually become millionaires. And, what would you say on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody. There takes a lot of mental and physical and emotional effort that goes into it. And you have to have all these things to develop yourself into to being that person. And that's why I think we're passionate about coaching and helping people, is because you can develop those areas.
And you have a false expectation if you think, oh my gosh, this is easy breezy, lemon squeezy. And then that's what everyone on the internet tries to say. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, it's so much work. It's harder. You always say
it takes twice as long and it costs twice as much. And you've got to be able to take the pain of having more money going in than you anticipated and it taking longer without quitting and giving up. And I mean, ultimately, if you can go in knowing that, I think you have even a higher chance of success. But ultimately, I think everyone thinks they've got it figured out. And most of the time you're figuring it out as you go because there's curveballs that you didn't expect.
What separates a successful entrepreneur and an unsuccessful entrepreneur?
I think it's just being able to be hit so many times. You have so many unexpected hardships, and most of the time it just crumbles people. And I like to say it's like getting punched in the face, then you have to flip your hair and then turn around and smile, because everyone can prosper in the easy times, right? And when you really think about it, there's more hard times than easy times. And it's punch. But
is it, and Ryan, I'll extend this question to you. Is it a dollar amount? Is it like a certain amount of money that you make?
All right, so I mean, I'm unique in the way that I look at success, and I think everybody looks at it kind of success as a little differently. But there's a movie called Family Man, and so like you watch this guy, he's this big business guy, and does really well, drives fancy cars, lives in a nice place or whatever, but he lacks the family side, right? And then he's got the other side where he works at a tire shop, and he's got all the family stuff. And so for me, the success is the balancing of those two. I don't want to have some successful business and not have a good family life. And I don't want to have all the family life and then feel like we're having to skimp and go by. And so, ultimately that is kind of the vision I look of as success, and trying to juggle and manage those two competing things.
I agree. I think for myself, over the last 2 years or so, I feel like I officially became a successful entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why, it's not because of any certain amount of money that I make, because I don't consider myself, like a mogul or anything like that whatsoever. Not there yet. I think for me, I've been able to not only balance the fact that I could live a good life while running my own business and businesses, but I also don't wake up stressed, in anxiety and in sweats in the middle of the night like I did for so long. And to me, that took a lot of work. That took, I tell it all the time on my show, that took some therapy as well, and a lot of meditation, and just really coming to an understanding of really letting go. Yeah. Letting go and allowing life to just sort of happen, and not being afraid of the unknown and what's going to happen. And to me, that's happened to me over the last 2 years or so. And I feel, for me, that's where, like, okay, now I feel like a success, because I could live a sustained life mentally, materialistically, and family-wise as well.
And I think, one of the things I always say is that progress equals happiness. And if you're making progress, the problem is that if you look at most successful businesses, people want to just have this straight up line, but it doesn't always work that way. It's, you go straight up, then you flatline, you might even go down, then you go up, and it's kind of this curve. But I think we've kind of, because we've done that in so many of our businesses, and people look at people who they look at this picture, they're in Turks and Caicos, they're partying, they're having this life. I think people have to understand that being an entrepreneur is harder than anyone could ever imagine. And there's so many people out there that really haven't built that much stuff, that they just pretend like they have the showy stuff. With AI, you can create all this stuff. And I think people understanding, because people want to quit, because they have this vision of, oh, it's so easy and it's nothing but a climb up. Then we've lost so many entrepreneurs out there because they think, oh, something's wrong with me because I didn't go straight up. And there really are systems and there's hacks now to be able to keep climbing up, but understanding that sometimes you are going to flatline, sometimes you are going to go down, and that's okay. That's all part of the ride.
Was there a moment when success arrived? And by success, I do mean like what people see on social media, right? So let's say when success arrived, when you're like, okay, I'm considered successful, but instead of freedom, it brought more pressure or weight.
It's a part of what, actually, a lot of what we talk. I literally was thinking about it even when she was talking about it. I was like, people go in, and when you don't see that incline of success, it's because you have to double down, right? And so you're like, all right, I need this amount of money, and I've got to take care of my household, or I've got to double it down in the business to get that incremental growth. And see, that's where most of them are pulled and tugged, because what happens is that actually adds more stress and more duress. And so you have all this compression, when actually it's the change of mindset to a different model is actually what creates both. It takes less money and it creates more freedom, because it creates new opportunity for somebody else. We talk about this all the time, that leadership is about leading someone else, creating a vision that involves someone else, but nobody does that in the business. They always think, I've got to do it. If it is to be, it's up to me, and I'm going to drive, and I'm going to go, and I'll stay up all night, and that's the glory of it. And then what happens is that doesn't really work, right? Like that, only if you can do that in the right model, then obviously it does. But if you do that in the wrong model, that's where they have more cost, more stress, and they don't find that level of success.
That's what got us into what we started doing. I will tell you, because I met so many good businesses, and I was thinking, how many good solutions are lost because people have this expectation, and the path that was painted for them wasn't the right one. And so we want to come alongside people and like coach them and go, hey, there's a lot of suck in this game. You know what I mean? There's a lot of punches, and that's okay. And when you have someone who can kind of come alongside of you and go, when this happened, here's what we did. Like my favorite quote is, if you want to build a national company, then you need to partner with people who've already built the national company, who've already learned all the
They've
things.
gone where you want to
Yeah,
go.
they've gone where you want to go. It's so much easier if you can kind of learn some of the lessons we learned the hard way.
Well, give me some of the lessons that you guys have learned. What was the first thing that broke as everything was growing?
Well, I mean, a lot of times all right, I'm going to give you this is the perfect example, and I like lose sleep over this still to this day, right? And so we went out there, we created like a CRM that was great for running this business. And then when we created the business that went here, we went, oh, well, now we need 5 passwords to get into that CRM because there's 5 different passwords because the technology didn't allow us to run that way. So then we got 5 passwords and they said, well, this isn't going to work. So now we created a new technology. And so we created new technology that we had to create. And that creation now meant stopping the other one, starting a new one, building it all the way out, all the expenses, all the bandwidth to do all that. To do that before we could go any further, we had to wait to build that. So we had to do it 3 different times when we could have done it once and grown nationally quickly if we had seen the forethought of doing that at a grander scale. And that's a lot of what I think Chantel brings is she only does things on, if this isn't running national, we're not building it. She only does it that way.
Actually, one of my biggest drawbacks, actually, because I'm such a big thinker. I'll give you a perfect example. We had at one time, we were using QuickBooks Online. Okay. And we met with this guy and he was like, Chantel, if you want to go national, this QuickBooks Online is not going to be the way you need to go.
What was the business?
That was a real estate company.
Okay.
And so we ended up changing to this other program. I can't even remember the name of it, but it was thousands of dollars a month when we didn't need that at the time. And we could have switched that later. So we could have used those thousands of dollars on this stupid accounting software that we needed. That money should have gone towards sales, right? It should have gone to sales and marketing. And the number one thing I will tell you that I see people doing, and we're talking about businesses, $100 million businesses that we help them with, is they're allocating the money into systems, in too much of systems, and not into sales and marketing. That's the number one thing.
Yeah, because it's a lot easier to solve problems when there's an endless flow of leads coming in, and you could just solve your problems from there.
Yes. But they're just basically misallocating where the money is. And some businesses, they are putting too much into sales and marketing and they don't have the systems, but most of the time it's regardless which way they're going, they're putting, it's a real dance to get that money in. And I will tell you, there's 2 ways that he shines. He can look at a P&L in 3 minutes and be like, what? Talk about just some businesses you've helped when you look at the P&L.
Before I would look at that, what I would say is you have to be disassociated from money when you run a business. It's the weirdest thing. Like I almost probably get this from a bad side of like, I would go to the casino and I could lose money or win money. It doesn't really matter. I like the entertainment of it, right? It's the same when it comes to business in a lot of cases is you're putting some money out there to market and go figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work, right? You can't be afraid to lose $20 at a casino. You can't be afraid to lose $1,000 in marketing. And they're afraid to do that. But they're spending $1,000 on something else that has no chance of making money.
They're spending money on people that are bringing in no ROI. For him, he literally looks at every person and goes, what are they bringing to the table? Like,
what do they add to the income sheet?
Yeah.
So which means that they're an expense, it has to be tied to an income. That's just a quick, easy thing.
So how do you determine like an administrator, an operations person that just,
well, then they'd have to be tied to one other part of it because you have marketing, sales, and logistics. So which means they may be running logistics, but then the operation of what we're charging to the customer, in which that is really a curveball thing there because the customer changes in some business models. But like what you're charging to the customer, they have to do a fulfillment for that. So if they were sending out gummy packets, then you want to make sure that they're being paid for how many gummy packets are going out. Well, if we're not selling any, then we don't need the person to do that. So you see there's a problem. Well, if we're not marketing, then we don't have sales, then we don't have the person that's running it. If we have the person running it, but we didn't market, so we didn't spend any money there, but now we're paying the person to sit here all day and twiddle their thumbs because they don't have anything to send out, then that becomes a problem, right? It's really easy. Once you start thinking of it like this and look at the business that way, you go, okay, well, I've got to spend more money here. Well, I don't want to. This is why I mean it gets scary. Well, I don't want to spend money on marketing. So you're going to have her twiddle her thumbs and then go, she's sending out 3 packets of gummies a day, right? I don't even have a supplement company. But my point is that would be a waste of time, and that's where it's a waste of money.
And we came up with an acronym. Let me see if I can remember it. It was like Miss FLA or something like that. But it's like all businesses are marketing, sales, finance, admin. What am I missing?
There was logistics, which
No, we changed it to something else.
yeah.
But
This is what we do just driving in the car. It was like, let's go with an acronym for this so we can remember
That's
it.
funny.
Yeah, I know.
it's basically
built
there's
off.
5 pieces to every single business. It's marketing, sales, finance, admin,
Now it's gonna bother
and
me.
something else.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what it is. We'll have to get it to you. But we came up with
We
this
gotta write
great
it down
acronym.
somewhere.
But basically, all businesses have these 5 areas.
I always say a business is a business is a business is a
Yeah,
business.
it's all the same. So it's really easy. And then
And
if
you
it's
talk,
a service
you talk
based,
nationally, I think we can go global.
yeah, that's true.
Because even in Spain and even in Europe and even in Mexico and in Asia, a business is a business is a business.
Well, we say once you have an area, then you can go regional. And once you can go regional across the state or whatever, then you can go national. And then from there, obviously, then you can go international. But it does change the game, right? Because now you have different tax laws.
Sure.
You have to have logistical things that a lot. It depends on the
But on the
business.
coaching
the
side-
juice has to be worth the
But on the coaching side,
Yeah, yeah. Well, you'll just mess with time zones. Similar, you have to adjust
Exactly.
time zones from California to the East Coast. So
Right.
they're just all things that have to change, and you just have to set up for those.
So tell me about the real stuff, Chantel, about being an entrepreneur, mentally,
Yeah.
emotionally, and physically, the toll that it takes.
Well, like
It's
I
easy
said,
for her because she's beautiful. This is
No.
the problem. I mean, look at her. The
No.
people are only watching this. They don't care about anything we're saying. They're only listening. To
I think they're looking at us, okay?
I think you have to be wired for winning. And I think you have to hate losing. That's really important. And I think, I'm extremely competitive. I would say I'm more competitive than him.
I believe it.
Not at tennis.
On certain
Hey, you play
things.
tennis?
Yeah.
So do I. I
On
played
certain-
college,
you
man.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
What
What are you doing after this?
Let's do it.
But I think that you have to be wired for success and you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. And the people that win are the people that just have the grit to keep on going. And I've got a lot of grit. He's got a lot of grit.
What have you guys had on time? If you could remember, I'll allow you a few seconds, a couple minutes to think.
About what?
About just you were down and out. You didn't think it was going to work, and give me like one of your worst moments. I mean, I'd like to.
Well, we've had it in all different areas, like whether it was finance, business. I mean, relationally, you've got to work through all of it. I mean, we found that we will work through all of it and we will figure it out. And like that's one of the things that I think is really makes us strong. But as far as this, I remember almost taking before, and it was in the real estate space. I was gonna quit selling real estate and go and take a $30,000 a year job. I was this close to being able to do it. And it was like, and what they were going to do was they were going to tell me to do this checklist of this stuff, show up at 9 to 5, whatever. And I went, well, if I'm going to do this for them, I might as well do it for myself. And that was kind of the aha when I was not doing what I needed to do. And that was the real answer to the problem. So you only want to quit when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that's in all categories of life.
And you, Chantel? 16 businesses, 6 books, you said. I mean, there had to have been some times where...
Yeah, well, I think the time for me, I actually got a autoimmune condition, psoriatic arthritis. And there were days where my joints hurt so bad I could not even get out of bed. And so that's why we kind of created Finch Freedom, because if you don't have freedom in your health, if you're super successful, but your marriage is falling apart or your health isn't there, there's 7 pillars that we've come up with for freedom. All of them start with F, freedom in your finances, your
fitness, your family,
your family, your faith. All of them have to be in alignment. Because I think, we look at people like Elon Musk and we're like, oh my gosh, he's so successful. Well, he's also been married 4 times. Like, I don't want to be married 4 times. So it's like,
good.
Is that
That's
success?
good. Glad that we're aligned.
Is that success? No, you're only successful if you have freedom in all 7 pillars, not just in finances. And I think that's really important too.
Is this the first time that you guys are actually in business together?
Yes.
Like working?
We've always worked separate.
But we
always.
had these separate strengths that really carried companies through. And so that's why I'm so excited about this.
But you guys always came back, and obviously you had your discussions. You talked about what's going on. Different stuff.
We talk about work a lot.
Nah, that's not true.
Well, no,
that's not true, because she would tell me things. Yeah, we would fight because we had different opinions because we operated so differently. Even her company, one of the ones she ran was national, and I ran a franchise. So I mean, she was corporate and I was franchise, and so they're different thought processes of how you're doing it. And one makes a lot more money, but costs more money going in. The other one makes less money, but it can scale a little faster. And so it just depends. And so that's where we would conflict because they didn't match.
Ryan, what has building a business together reveal about your marriage that normal life never would have exposed?
Oh man, and it's kind of one of my favorite things is that it really came together with a thought pattern for me that was like my marriage to her was more important to me than any other business. And there's nothing in the business that I wouldn't sacrifice for keeping the relationship as the hierarchy. So that had to happen because then you have to have the friction in the business to choose. Do you want to be right or do you want to be together, right? Like, and so I go, I'll lose in the argument and go, we'll figure out whether we're right or wrong through that path. And and sometimes she's right, sometimes I'm right. It doesn't really matter, but then it mattered that we kept moving forward.
So Michael Jordan talked about where he always demanded the best of all of his teammates and they hated him for it. And I demand the best out of him and he demands the best out of me, and we don't hate each other for it. And I think that's really important because if you look at the people who've won championships, they've won wealth, they demand the best out of each other.
You got to tell
and
the Coldplay story.
We do this new thing where we go into the shower and we have this cold.
We do the sauna
shower.
And it's a shower.
They have this cold shower and I'll go in for like 50 seconds and then I'll be like, there, see if you can go.
And I would let her win and she would get mad at me for letting her win because she actually just thought I was weak. Like you're just not as strong as me. And so then I went and did it. Well, it's on a timer of 3 minutes. And so she did one, I don't remember what it was. She did like 50 or something like that. And I just said, forget it. I'm staying the whole time. And so it was like 180 I did or whatever it was to just go, I can push. I'll show up if you need me. And that's what I want her to know is that it doesn't matter. She wants the best for me. I will always be able to show my best whenever it's needed. So, but she's pretty tough. So she's tough. She did a boot. What is that burn thing or whatever it is?
Body pump.
All right, I can't keep up with her in that, but I'm going to beat her in.
It's a workout class that we do.
It's the toughest thing in the world. It's not like going to the gym. There's like 1,000 reps you do. And she does this like 5 times a week. And I went in like twice and I was like crying like a baby afterward. I was like, how did she do this?
Well, and I think tracking your success every single day, I think is really, really important. And I think that figuring out, okay, what am I going to do to win? And I will say this, one of my favorite CEOs was the CEO of Waze. And he did a podcast one time and he literally said this. He said, when we looked at the companies that won and the companies that lost, if we looked at the ones that lost, he said to them, when did you know that your team wasn't right on the companies that failed? And they always said within the first 30 days. And he said, and as a CEO, you're either don't have the guts to make the tough decision to get rid of the team members that aren't right, or you're too stupid. And either one, you're not doing the job as a CEO. And so I think it's just making the tough decision to go, looking at every person and going, with this person, am I creating a winning team? Do I have to micromanage them? Are they a self-starter? Do they have what it takes? And can they take the ball across? And we've had to challenge each other on that. And I go, the team that you have right now in that company, and also just going, I don't have to be the CEO. Like hiring a CEO to take over to run that company, that's when you are taking it.
Well, and making sure the right players are in the right seat, right? So assessing them, right? You don't want to have the quarterback on the line, right? When he can throw the ball and he has those things that you want to make sure you keep the right player in the right seat. And to go back on what she was saying is the CEOs all said they had the wrong team. But the point is we're not victims. The CEOs are running a company. They are not a victim. They need to decide, do they have the right players? Are they in the right seat? And then move in that direction. And once you know, become a person of action.
And there's also a place where there's a lot of stuff on the internet right now about like self-love and like, you're just perfect the way you are. And nobody wants to challenge anyone.
You are perfect.
To challenge them, to take them to the next level. Like, I think people are always like, oh, let's just coast. And that's not the people you need to be surrounded with, in my opinion. If you want to take it to the next level, you need someone who can say, I love you, but I know that you've got more in you right now. And I know that you can do better. Like, are you the kind of person who, like, I resonate with who you are, but I can help take you to the next level? And do you have people around you that can take you to the next level? Like that cold plunge is a perfect example. Like, okay, no, we're not okay with just being here. We're gonna take it up a notch.
I say take your soul. I say I'm gonna max it out. If you're gonna beat me, you better be able to go all the
Taking
way,
souls.
all the way. Because take it all. Yeah,
guidance.
exactly. I'm that mental toughness is
Yeah.
challenging all the things that I quit a baseball team when I was a kid. And I've never forgot that I quit that baseball team. Yeah. I went and did all the work to make the baseball team, and then I quit. And so ever since then, and I think I was like 14 years old, ever since then, I was like, I'm not feeling that feeling again.
Ryan, what's going to happen after this podcast? I kick your ass on the tennis court.
He's not gonna let you.
Is this like are you gonna make this up on AI or like how does that? I'm just kidding. You probably would.
Yeah, you probably will.
How does one surround themselves with high achievers and people who are able to, really push themselves to, because I think that is a trouble of an up and coming entrepreneur is I feel like it costs money and there's few opportunities. And that also leads me to, how do you know whether or not you are, let's say, finding the right coach or you're finding the right person to surround yourself with?
I think the perfect example is you, the fact that you're even sitting here right now, because we were in that group and you didn't go into a group. We both went into a group and we went in for knowledge. But what happened is who you are said, I'm going to make the most of this opportunity, right? And so by setting up and finding the coach and doing something is one thing. What you do with the information and the experience and the relationships that come from it is a whole other part of it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because, I reached out to you.
Yeah, no, I know.
Just on a private message.
Because you wanted to maximize it, right? So these people need to make sure they're maximizing. They need to reach out. If they're not reaching out to us, whatever it is to reach out, then they're fumbling a part of what could be going on because they're talking themselves out of it. You didn't talk yourself out of reaching out and making the connection. And now here we sit, this time later, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that is a big part of this is that they talk themselves out of how the coaching is going to help, how this is going to help, how this person is going to do this. Or I'm not going to do something with it. They just have to decide, I'm going to do something with it because that's who I am, and then do something about it.
And that I love you enough to not leave you where you are. Hanging out with those people, and every person, there is not one successful person that doesn't have a coach. To remind yourself, like, mm-hmm. I know even in my own entrepreneur days, there were times where I had coaches and there were times when I didn't. Everyone needs a coach. Think about Tiger Woods. People could argue he's the best of the best. Does he have a coach? Yes. Every person has to have somebody that can help rise them to the next level. So if you don't have a coach, you've got to get one.
How did you make the last decision to hire your last coach per se?
I think for me, energy is really important. Like, does that person's energy make me a better person? And where are they? Like, I want someone who's kind of, 10 levels ahead of mm-hmm. where I am. And so, and we spend a massive amount of money on coaching.
She's really good about that. Like I would probably pick a coach 1 or 2 steps ahead of me, right? Like that's how I would do. And she's like, no, we're going after the best. And she's like, because we're going to be the best, so we're going to pick the best.
Yeah, we're coaching with Ed Milet, Ryan Blair. These are people who are big time, they're next level, and so they're coaching us, and then we're now taking what they're teaching us and coaching other people.
I always say too, if you're going to be a coach, you better have a coach.
Yes.
Because there's only so much information that we have or that we learn through our own experience. There's so much more information that we get out there from books, from coaches, and from everything else.
It's a cheat code, man. I'm telling you.
It's a super cheat code.
I'm the anti-coach guy. Like, I'm like, no coaching. This guy had to basically say, all right, if you coach with me, you pay $1,000 to the church. Don't even give it to me. Give it to the church and I'll coach.
That was the only way he did.
That was the only way to get me in. I'm telling you, because I was like, no. And it changed everything. I mean, it literally, I have a notebook of stuff that I can now give out, and I hardly paid anything. He said, but this was his key. He said, so for every person that I coach, he said, I add up, and for every $14,000 I bring in, I can open a new church in Nicaragua. And then we went on a trip to go do that as well. And so like, he was doing it for a bigger purpose. It wasn't about money. He was already in the B status. He didn't even care, but his thought pattern was so different than the way I thought. And I was never going to get that over $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month. I mean, can you think and imagine how dumb I would have been to not spend one that? Can you? I mean, you know what I'm talking about. So can you imagine?
And what's the
And then
the $1,000 bucks?
Go to dinner because the relationship comes from that, right? Once you make that investment, then we would go to dinner with his wife, and Chantel would go, and then he would tell him stuff, he would tell her stuff, and then she would beat me up about the more stuff I wasn't doing, because she'd be like, look, he already told you to do this, and then she would steal it and beat me to it, and so then the coach ended up helping her, and that wasn't fair.
Chantel, I walked into the house, and the first thing I asked Ryan, I said, "Is there a place that I could sit down?" There's a lot of chairs, and he mentioned that you do Bible study and all kinds of and that.
Mm-hmm.
How much is your faith and spirituality and just your overall belief had an impact on your success?
Well, I just finished writing a book called Tune In, God's Voice, Your Purpose. And I think that figuring out what your life's purpose is starts with hearing from God. And so a couple months ago, God put it on my heart to write this book, Tune In, God's Voice, Your Purpose, because I think that's one of the most important things that you can get, is to really be able to hear from God. What is your purpose here on earth? We're here for such a smidgen of time. The Bible says it's like a vapor. And so if you can figure out exactly what God wants you to do with your time, that's when you're going to be the most fulfilled. So,
And the Bible study.
Yeah, then I just finished writing. I'd love for people to be a leader and grab this Bible study and host a Bible study at their house. Grab the book. We literally, it's done for you. So it's super easy. It has all the questions.
This is actually how we plan to get rich, is on the books and the Bible study
No,
stuff.
we make no money on that at all.
Oh, wait.
we just changed
paying money and time and energy.
Yeah, we make no money on
but
the
we're
book.
not passionate about it.
Yeah.
So I've got I guess an interesting question then, is everything is hustle culture right now. Like you go online, it's always just like do 1,000%. And we've been talking about that now. Ryan, I could pose this question to you. How much is it hustle culture and how much is it just overall belief and faith in yourself and surrendering to the things that sort of happen in life?
It's a weird thing. And I mean, I'm sure you can relate to this as a guy. Like as we go through it, there's this huge hustle culture in the beginning. Like you've got to go do it. I mean, to attract the woman that you want, you better hustle, you better go make money, you better get out there and do it, because that's what you got to do. And at the same time, you get to a place where you're like, all right, I don't want to just hustle for one more office, one more dollar, because I want to be able to embrace what I have. And, and a part of that is a value that I think we really glean from each other, because we go through both of these things where it's like, and mainly more her, she's more always hustle culture going, right? And like, I got to get on. I'm like, fine. Like,
I thought it was you.
I'd rather walk on the beach with her.
No, my word of the year, you know how everyone comes up with one, that God gave me was surrender.
Nice.
That's
Have you
my
read The
word of
Surrender
year.
Experiment?
No, I
By
haven't.
Michael Singer?
No.
It's one of the best books in the world.
Really? I got to get
Just
that.
like that. Just like that.
I got to get that.
So she's a grinder, goes after, I mean, from the time she wakes up, she's like, I mean, we do a Bible study and stuff like that, but she's like on it, and then it's quickly into let's go and doing all, and it's not even a money thing. It's just a drive to make an impact on the world, right? And then I'm more so like, all right, I'm like the Mary, I would like sit there.
Martha.
Yeah. And so, but at the same time, I can turn it on. Like I turn it on, and when I do, I'm doing 100 things at once, because I want to get back to the downtime side of things. I don't want to be enthralled and have my whole space of my mind into something at all time, because then I can't come up with something new to create the vision of the life I want. Because if you stay too far in hustle, you can't think clearly. And when I can't think clearly, I can't operate well. And I I want to operate well because I want to create the vision of what I want. And that's more important to me than the hustle or not hustle. I can't not hustle and not have success because that I'll get bored. Like one, she's going to be like, I needed a new pair of shoes. Not that she's a big shoe person, but you get the idea. And like, I got to go after it at the same time. She's like, I'll go get my own freaking shoes. So she goes, I'm like, all right, she's not beating me in the cold plunge. All right. Like that's how I look at it. If she's working, I'm like, if she's working, she's outdoing me in the cold plunge. So it's the same thing. That's why we're good for each other for that.
How do you explain success, Chantel, to your kids without making it about money?
Yeah, I mean, back to the kind of the 7 pillars that we've kind of created. I think that he is the perfect example of he always puts me and the kids first. I mean, there's never been a time that he doesn't. And so he really doesn't care about money. My goal is to live on 10% of my income and give 90% away. That's just something God put in my heart a long time ago. And so I feel like I have this drive to, because this is something I felt like God put on my heart to do. But I feel like, it can get in the way of like, again, I have to remember it still goes God first, then my husband, then our family, and then from there. So I think we always have to like reevaluate kind of our purposes and what we want to do. Cause I think I can, again, it's like, I'm so driven sometimes that it can
It's
kind
so
of,
attractive though. Can you imagine if like you were a grinder, like me as being a grinder, and then she just sat around and ate bonbons? Like I couldn't deal with that. I don't think either. And I would lose probably respect for her. And at the same time, I respect how hard she's driven in doing that. And so she didn't necessarily all the way answer the question. So if you will, I'll answer. Is she makes sure that Kyle does a routine every single day, right? He has to do Bible verses. If it wasn't for her, I probably would slack on that, right? So he memorizes Bible verses. She sends out sermons to our family. We have a group chat, so that always comes through. There's church on Sunday. And then there's the things she does that's just, she doesn't talk about it. She just does it. If she's writing a Bible study, shouldn't you? If she's managing accounting and reviewing P&Ls, shouldn't you? Like if she's driving and doing media and grinding it out, shouldn't you? And so it's the example that she sets, as well as that is, I mean, she's very modest in how she handles herself. And she's very, what we call vanilla. She doesn't cuss. She doesn't drink. She doesn't do drugs. Like all of that stuff is also teaching the success, right? Like it's not with words. It's just like, she's not even doing that for them. She's just setting that example. It's like, this is the bare minimum of what I'm going to expect of you. You're going to be expected to take this a lot further. And I think that's the undertone of what she teaches them. So,
Woof. What about legacy, Chantel? How do you feel about that?
I feel like I really wanted to be number one, create this national company, grow, scale. And I love to do that. And I love to teach people how to do that. But I think God has really just put this whole thing of surrender to me, and that like there's something called like when you die, there's your eulogy resume, and then there's your actual like business resume. And I think what God's kind of laid on me is like, when you die, do you care that people are going to say, oh, she was number one at this, she built this business, she scaled this, she owned 16 companies, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, I don't care about any of that. Like, what I care about is that people say she was a really wonderful mother. She was a really great wife. She was a.
Well, yeah.
I do want to say something, because there's something, and I know this is going to be really like, whoa, but I feel really pressed to say this, because I've been talking to some of our friends and some people that I know, and they're not having sex. Okay. And my book is called Delegate Everything But Sex, but I just all of a sudden am
I don't know where this is going.
no, because I'm talking to all these people and I'm finding out, we know one couple that it's been a year since they've had sex.
Oh,
Another couple, a couple of years since they've had sex. And they told us some of the reasons. And I'm like, this is a problem. Maybe my next book should be like, but I think, this is a key to a good marriage for us,
I like how
is
this came after the legacy question, by the way.
I think it's an important piece that we need to discuss.
I mean, it's important to build confidence, in both people. It makes both people
Well,
secure. And those things erode what you do in business and everything else when you're lacking security, confidence, and and that aspect of life, that you feel like your life can be pulled out from under you, and otherwise then maybe trying to connect somewhere else.
Well, we had a rule. His rule was no more than 3 days that we would have sex. Yeah, like he basically said, "Look, I can't go." Like on the third day, yes, you basically did. But then we went to a Bible study, literally. This couple said, "Well, we have a rule that we have it on the calendar that we have sex every other night." And so he looked at me and he's like, "Oh, well, this 3 day rule is completely out. We're doing it every other day is on the calendar no matter what." Sometimes we have sex more than that, but I actually wrote a bonus chapter for my book on Delegate Everything But Sex on it. It's called How to Have Great Sex. And I literally wrote some tips down. It's actually on the Delegate Everything But Sex site. And it's all about some different things that we do to spice up our sex life. So I just feel like
people don't like to talk about it. But
Yeah.
ultimately, the thing is that's why someone should or would want to go buy the book. And at the same time, that's what would motivate me as a husband to go out there and go grind, because I want to make her proud and attracted. And at the same time, it's what makes her as a wife go out and do what she does because she wants to be attractive, right? And so this is what we talk about when it's like, I don't want to say it, but tots and terriers, right? Like, it's one of the things that drives in the world, and that you can get a lot more out of business and life and things like that if this is a piece that you don't just push off to the side, that it's like, all right, we're just saving the mannequin.
Well, no, if you go downstairs, like we have dinner completely made. Every bed in our house is made. Our house always looks very clean and put away. Like there's nothing out of sorts. But it's because I delegate all of
It's
that.
impeccable in here.
Nobody.
I don't even see a dust bunny or anything
Yeah,
like that.
but I don't lift a finger when it comes to that. So that but again, if I'm exhausted from the day because I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing all of that, there's no chance we'd be having sex every day or every other night. So that's why I'm so passionate about teaching people, hey, if you can't delegate, if he,
But that's what I mean by hustling. If you go hustle and you're making enough money that she's not stressed, then
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously going to be people that are going to come back and say, "Well, I can afford that."
Yeah,
and I can
then work harder. This is my point, and I'm like, we're setting this example of what we're saying in this. We talked about the grind and the hustle side, and then the family side. I'm like, it's not one or the other. I'm not giving up sex with my wife so I can just work 12 hours a day every day. And at the same time, I'm not just going to sit around and hang out with her all day and not go make any money, because that erodes. And this is the dance that's actually going on with people. And what I'm trying to get at is like, we've got to go grind. We've got to go do it. We've got to come up with things like that's all part of this human nature, part of things that satisfies us.
Well, I learned from Dan Martell. What is it? Poor people spend time to make money, and rich people spend money to get more time.
Yeah. And the truth is, if you think about it, it takes at least 40 hours a week. If you want to eat organic foods like we do, if you want to have the house be really, really clean and organized and clean, it's going to take 40 hours a week to do all that, to go grocery shopping, to get clean eating, to do all of that. Then how am I going to then also work 40 hours and build companies and do everything I'm going to do? And then also be the kind of wife that I want, be the kind of mother I want. I can't do that unless I'm delegating. So I think that's really important.
So they need to go check out the book. That's one thing. But I mean, it's like I said, it's not like we're making money on that book. That's just, we want to have a life impact. The other part is we have an Entre Business Network. It's a free network that's on Facebook that they can join. We have the coaching program that's only $200 a month they can join in, where they can put their husband in that program or their wife in that program. And this is the kind of stuff that we're going to go through that ties in all of this other stuff. On top of that, we have one-on-one coaching and then business coaching for all the other.
Yeah, tell me about that. We can end the show with. I'd like to know what you guys are doing. What's on the horizon here? What's 20? Well, it's December 30th. Tomorrow's New Year's Eve. What's 2026 look like?
Well, one of the things we did is this year we went to a couple different coaches like conferences, and I will tell you they were awful. They were like with people, and I'm not going to say who it was with, but if you knew who was putting them on, you would know who they are. But the conference was horrible. We didn't get one thing out of it. And I was thinking, if someone wants to really take their business to the next level, the way that I believe the next phase of it is doing a room where you've got about 10 to 12 other entrepreneurs. And that's why we're doing something at our house here in Sarasota where it's just 12 entrepreneurs. We all get into a room. We discuss all the problems that are going on. We mastermind together. That's how you create change. Not these big conferences anymore.
Well-
I didn't learn one thing.
That founders dinner I did was amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
It
Yes.
was amazing. It was what, 8 of us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I love that.
Eight to 12 people.
Yep.
That's where magic happens. That's the next phase. Stop going to these big conferences if you want to grow and change your
You are
business.
such a doer. You do and put those kind of things, you know, and the other part of this thing that we're talking about is we're talking about this stuff and it doesn't make sense, the words we're using. This is that time in which you go and you sit down and you figure out exactly what modeling means and scaling and how do you do more without spending more money and how do you not have to work harder and more hours. Like that doesn't make sense in the brain. But we can't go through all of that right now because it has to be broken down by their business. And you can't, to her point, you can't do that on a mass scale with 500 people in the room because the answer to this person's question is not the answer to this person. It has to be broken down. And so you've got to make it. And that's why it even limits it to having these 10 to 12 people, because that way you can go one by one all the way through and then sort through, build out the marketing and all the things that need to be done to scale and grow.
And in the one-on-one coaching, we really get into a deep dive of like I said, he can look at someone's P&L in 5 minutes and figure out where all the problems are.
But then they don't do it. They don't do it, and they'll spend 10 times that amount on wasted money over the next month to 2 months when they could have had someone come in and go, hey, go look at this and go, don't call me ever again. Have me do it one time. I go, it won't be the end, because then they'll be like, wait, so there's more? And I'm like, yeah, this is just the beginning. This is the foundation. We build this, the foundation, and then we can do a lot. Clean up that P&L. I only think of a business through a P&L. I don't even care what's going on out there. I only care what's going on in the P&L.
Definitely tells a story.
Yeah, and accounting people prefer the balance sheet, but I mean, for me, it's the P&L. Is that it's going to tell me, and I'm going to take it and dissect it and turn it into 100 P&Ls. That's what I'm picturing. 100 P&Ls running off of one. And
what do you mean by that?
This is what I mean. It's why people got to get in the room. I'm going to take it and model out. The reason we had 120 locations, the reason why we licensed down other companies, the reason we JV'd, because a JV is a new P&L. A license is a new P&L. A franchise is a new P&L. I'm creating new P&Ls in my mind of whatever their business is. And that's the magic of what we do in building it. On top of it, we have what's called co-build. We will go in and build out the marketing and the sale of that product to offer it. I told you it's easier. If you gave 100 people a P&L and they all gave you back an amount of money from their P&L, but their P&L was clean and tight and they can now run and scale it nationally, would you rather have that or have all the money from your own P&L? Or better yet, keep all the money from your P&L. Don't call me. Don't have me look at it. Keep having it as a low amount of money, no marketing being done, and struggling all the way through. And I'm like, that's what's going on. And I'm like, just ready to shake them. Like, come on, let us help you. We want to help you. But they're like, all right. $1,000. I'm like, bro, $1,000. I mean, we spent that at the grocery store this morning. I'm like, it's not even good. The girl can buy some groceries. But anyway, you get my point. It's like we want to help more people, and that's what we're trying to do.
I can tell.
This is the brain, the mindset that is stopping them, and it's driving me nuts.
Yeah,
because we want to help them.
I know. I
can
can
tell.
that
cycle. We got to break that.
And
cycle.
you can help, and I can test. I'm a testament to it. I've had the luxury, and I'm grateful for being able to have called you in the past and asked you for some advice, and you've given me tremendous advice. So I do thank you for that.
Appreciate our friendship.
Well, I do appreciate you guys again inviting me into your home. It is a beautiful home, and you've got a beautiful son over there too, helping in the background. Sorry that you had to hear about all that sex, but I'm sure it's not the first time that he's heard it. And again, thank you so much for coming.
What can we do to help you?
We could talk about that off camera. But we're gonna talk about that. Yeah, I know. I mean, we're gonna talk about that for sure.
Well, yeah, but if people are watching this, what are you looking for?
Well, I mean, it's not anything new, but I'm just launching. I just launched in June, so I'm just starting out.
You launched?
Oh, the business brokering and the exit advising side of my business. So I have an exit advising side where we sell evaluation, and then we all obviously help you increase and value accelerate your business. And then when it's time to sell, we broker that deal and we help you.
So you don't want to sell a business without knowing what it's worth.
No, you have to know what it's worth. You should be always thinking about increasing the value of your business more than you're thinking about increasing the revenue. We all know that that gross revenue, what is it? Is sanity? What is it? Revenue is vanity?
Revenue is for vanity. Profit is for sanity.
Everybody's always looking at that gross number, and that's not really what it's about. So we try to put a valuation on a company and then watch that valuation increase over time.
So good. And I think, if you have people, it's so funny because we are getting into business brokering as well. And we just met with a local business broker here in Sarasota that we talked to on the phone. And one of the things he said is only about 20% of the people that call me have a business that he's like, I'm the one who has to tell people
No.
that you have an ugly baby. That's exactly what his words were.
That's
He
the
said,
name of
I'm
the
the one
book.
who tells you.
Is it the author of the book? Have you read that book?
No, I
Yeah,
haven't.
it's My Baby's Ugly.
Really?
Jonathan, he's a CPA. He's a certified exit planning advisor. Jonathan.
Oh my gosh, I need to read that because
Yeah.
that his exact words were,
baby's ugly.
I'm the one who has to tell people your baby is ugly. And
I think anybody's thinking about selling, they should at least try to put that out for at least a year. At least give yourself a year to increase the value, or at least clean up the business, clean up the financials, something to make that baby at least look maybe not as ugly.
yeah, I love
Takes
that.
at least a year. At least a year.
That's so good. And I think for them to meet with you, for you to tell them, okay, here's what your business is worth now. But then if you do A, B, C, D, and E, then we can get it worth this. It's worth taking that time.
Well,
to
my
do that.
model is a three-pronged approach because I was an insurance adjuster for a long time, and I only got paid when the claim got paid, strictly commission. So what does that mean? My sales cycle was anywhere from 6 months to 3 years. I wouldn't get paid, and I knew the same thing with the brokering is I didn't like that part. I don't like the part that it takes, I think, on average 9 months to sell a business. So I don't want my sales cycle to be 9 months. So it really was just part of my business model and doing some research, but understanding that most of these businesses are not ready for sale, and we have to actually find a way to we should charge for the valuation. And then we should also find some way that we could advise them on recurring revenue. If I'm going to coach you on the importance of recurring revenue, how is my business not going to have recurring revenue? If I'm going to coach you as a landscaping company and you don't have a product that you actually sell, how am I not going to have a product when you know the value of having a product that you can sell? Right. So we have a product in the valuation. We have the recurring revenue model to increase your valuation. And then when it's time to sell, that's when but at least I'm making some cash flow in the beginning.
I love that. It's so good. Yeah. It's really smart. And other people who are in that business brokering could probably come coach with you so that they can learn how to get that. Oh, you're not there yet. Okay.
Right now it's just a business owner.
Yeah. Got it.
That's what we'll bring you in for.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching in this unique area or the unique studio that we are coming to you live in. And yeah, we'll see you next week on the show. Thank you guys.
Bye. It was great.